Welcome. Welcome back for another installment of One More Round Fights live chat. This is episode 50. 50. We've done it almost every single week for the last year. This is a year anniversary since we've had the channel. Since we started with 20 subs and gone all the way to, I think we're at 540. So 520 subscribers later. We're still here. Hopefully we'll still be here in another year. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the subs get up. We'll see if the channel keeps going, if we still keep getting some traction and the watch hours go up. We'll see, But if you don't already know, my name is Gaff. I host this show every Sunday. I also do CP units on Friday. I also do PFL watch-alongs, sometimes UFC watch-alongs, and definitely one championship watch-alongs. And this is One More Round Fights. Again, we're trying to get to 550 subs. I think we're at like 540, something like that. So 10. It takes 10 accounts to get us to our sub goal of 550. So please don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to scan the QR code below. Main card minute on your left. One More Round Fights on your right. All right. Scan that QR code right freaking there. Oh, I missed it. There. Right there. Yeah. And don't forget to follow on social. That's where we put out the parlays. That's where we put out cut downs and graphics from throughout the week. That's where we get out a little fun things here and there. Maybe more things coming on the social media channels. So maybe an Instagram exclusive live with a fighter. Who knows? You don't know. But you should be following or else you're going to miss it. So, yeah. And then don't forget to send anything into the email, wins, funny pics, reactions. Send them in. onemoreroundfights@gmail.com. All right. It's your little inbox to send any fun tidbits throughout the week if you feel like it. But yeah, bro. And shout out to the sponsor, W.GG. Use promo code One More Round for 10% off. Anyways, we had a lot to talk about this week. A lot to talk about this week. I mean, plenty of things happened. Some things we haven't even touched on. Some things that we're revisiting from past weeks. So there's a lot to get into. So let me start off with some MMA updates. Okay? We got some MMA updates. Oh, hold on. I want to adjust something here. Ooh. Oh, right. I forgot about. That's interesting. Okay. All right. MMA updates. So as you know, a lot of people have been talking about this over the past week. But the UFC have signed a deal with Paramount Plus to be the new streaming service for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, which means a lot of things for a lot of people. I think it was a $7 billion deal, 7 years, something like that. Number one, the fighters are going to be affected by this, to say the least. The bargaining chip for pay-per-views, because, again, they seem to be in the position that they're going to be moving away from the pay-per-view model for at least the 7 years that they're in this deal. Which means a lot of the things that fighters had as leverage to create some value for themselves, as in bringing more eyeballs to the sport, getting pay-per-view points, a lot of those contractual obligations are not going to be valid, it seems. There's going to have to be some new ways that fighters clause their contracts in order to get paid for their perceived value, which is going to be a very interesting thing to see for some of the biggest names that we still have in the sport. That also changes things for up and coming fighters, because if the UFC has no reason to build stars, why would they, in a sense? Obviously, yes, you still need to get people to watch the sport. And obviously, you still need to do this and that to make your money and keep people interested. Yes, obviously. It's not like they're not going to have any notable people, but I'm talking about stars. John Jones level stars, Connor level stars, GSP level stars, Anderson Silva level stars. I feel like we're going to be at a shortage of those during this era. I feel like we've already been at a shortage of those, which definitely aids and helps the UFC in many ways, because at a time that they have little stars, this was a perfect time to make this deal. This was a perfect time to take a nice little 7-year Patrick, hide under the fucking rock. Just keep the fucking wheels on the track and keep the train moving. This seems like one of those. And I'm concerned for the entertainment value that we're going to have, because it feels as though a lot of these UFC cards have been pretty thin, especially with they're pretty good when they start, but we always see 1 to 3 fights fall out on every card, which usually is a great fight that we want to see. So that usually gives us a big hit on the grade of the card as a whole afterwards. There's too many things that can change with this deal. So I'm not excited about it. I am excited for something new, and I'm excited to not have to pay for pay-per-views, even though I wasn't. But you get the point. I'm excited for everybody having access to the sport at a cheaper cost. That's going to be cool. I'm just worried about how this is going to change the face of competition in the sport. And maybe it stays the same, and maybe there's nothing to worry about at all, and they're going to keep it as usual. Same usual stars come out. Sean O'Malley's pop out every now and then. A Marab is born, and Ilya comes out of the shadows. Yeah. But I just feel as though this is not going to be a time where it's advantageous to the fighters. So this is going to suck. It's going to suck for agents. It's going to suck for lawyers. It's going to suck for fighters. It's going to suck for everybody but the UFC, because they're going to be making their money and they're going to be delegating the money as they see fit. So yeah, that's my piece on the UFC contract and what they're going to now do with it. I don't know what's to come. Nobody knows except for maybe Dana White and Hunter Campbell and those kind of guys. But if the UFC can somehow find a way to make sure that these high value fighters have extra incentive in their contracts to bring more eyes to the sport, then I feel like that's a win-win for everybody. But again, we'll see what happens. Other news in the week: Jon Jones still wants to fight at the White House, and Dana White says there's about 1,000,000,001 chance that Jon Jones fight on that card, which is a shot to the heart. Big old shot to the heart, because we're like, oh, maybe a Jon Jones fight would be cool if he comes back, and then Dana's like, fuck that shit. It's nice to see Dana stand on business for once, because especially with guys like Jon Jones and Connor, we've seen him just turn into the giggly girl next to them and just laugh at everything they say and roll with everything. And I'm glad that he's staying firm on keeping Jon away from making a comeback on his terms. If he's going to come back, it's going to be on the UFC's terms, it seems. And I kind of like that because we're kind of tired of the John Jones charade at this point. I would love to see him fight again. Obviously, I'm wearing a fucking John Jones shirt right now. That's my dog. But I always hated the antics in between the fights. I only loved when the fight was booked and we were on the roller coaster of will some shit happen between now and the fight that'll take him out of it. That's the fun part of a John Jones fight. Shit, will we even get there? And then the day before, you're like, fuck, this is happening. And then the day of, you're like, holy shit, John fights tonight. And then at the end of the night, he either gets a crazy finish or he gets a decision where you're like, yep, John Jones is John Jones. I don't know why I bet with the other guy or why I doubted him or why the fuck else. So Dana White denying John Jones it and saying that Conor is way more likely to be part of that event. Conor seemingly taking training seriously back in the USADA pool. All things pointing up for Conor at the moment. So we'll see what happens with that. He's been keeping up with the sport, even tweeting at Khamzat Chimaev. Nate Diaz also tweeting at Khamzat Chimaev. Plenty of options for Khamzat Chimaev. But yes. And those were the MMA updates. Honestly, not too much this week. It was all about the deal, all about John Jones and Dana White. It wasn't too much. Some fights got booked and shit, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Strumming the E in this bitch. He says, "Oh shit, late night stream, I think you meant to say, but yes, sir. Always. And the Sunday streams are now at night. Daytime's too early for our East Coasters. Too early for our West Coasters. I feel like the nighttime is the perfect medium for everybody. It's daytime for Australians and such, our oceanic region, our Asian region. You know, I guess the Europe isn't doing too well because right now for them it's like 3, 4 in the morning. But hey, when you wake up, there'll be a stream for you to watch. So everybody gets a dubber here, subber dubber. But yeah, let's get into it. We have a lot to talk about. The UFC happened. It was UFC 319, headlined by Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis. There was PFL 9, headlined by Gadzi Rabadanov and Alfie Davis, also with Liz Carmouche and Jenna Bishop. There was boxing this weekend. Moses Itauma, Dillian Whyte, Nick Ball, Sam Goodman. Yeah, a lot happened. Let's get into it, shall we? Khamzat Chimaev defeats Dricus du Plessis by decision in a eye-opening fight from Khamzat Chimaev. Now, some people will call this performance boring. Some people will call this performance vintage Khamzat. Some people will call this performance dominating. And some people were just not interested because they wanted to see it finish. And it is what it is. But Khamzat Chimaev absolutely steamrolls Dricus du Plessis, taking him down multiple times, putting him in a crucifix multiple times, taking him down at will, beating him up on the feet, then shooting immediately to the legs. Every time Dricus tried to get something going, he'd end up on his back. Just when you're like, okay, Dricus back to his feet, again on his back, right to his butt. Dricus du Plessis had zero answers for Khamzat Chimaev. Zero. No answers. He was looking to his corner in between rounds. He's like, I don't know what to do. And they didn't know what to do either. Because what the fuck do you do against something like that? You got to wait till he gasses out. And he almost did that. He waited till round 5. Finally started to mount some offense. Got on top, landed some strikes, and then landed on bottom again. Khamzat Chimaev just ended up controlling him, using his wrestling to his advantage, and absolutely blanked Dricus du Plessis on the scorecards. Now, he beats him by unanimous decision. 50-44, 50-44, 50-44. 50-44 across the board. Okay? This was one of the easiest fights to score. I mean, I would say maybe rounds 1 and 2 were possible 10-8s. 3 and 4 were much closer. 5 was the closest round because Dricus mounted his most offense then, but make no mistake about it, Khamzat Chimaev defeats Dricus du Plessis, and he is your UFC middleweight champion A 5-year prophecy has been fulfilled. We've been hearing about Khamzat Chimaev since 2020 when he first fought in less than 2 weeks twice in less than 2 weeks in 2 different weight classes. Comes back, gets another vicious win, knocking out Gerald Meerschaert. Getting big wins over guys like Kevin Holland, Gilbert Burns, Robert Whittaker breaking his jaw. The lore was created every single step of the way, every single fight added another piece to his story. And it all culminated in Khamzat Chimaev becoming a UFC champion on August 16th of 2025. It's official. What we all thought about Khamzat Chimaev was true. He is the wolf. He is the biggest and the baddest at both welterweight and middleweight. He is a guy that we could see hold multiple belts in the UFC. He dominates every single person he faces. Now, some might say he didn't dominate Gilbert Burns or Kamaru Usman, but these were the highest of, well, Usman anyway, one of the highest level fighters in the UFC. And he had him a little bit early in his run. Not too early, but, short notice fight as well. So that should play. That should come into play. But Khamzat Chimaev proves the critics wrong, proves Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, Ariel Helwani, Mike Bone, Jed Mishu, Alexander K. Lee, all these guys, proves them all right. Khamzat Chimaev is the real deal. He's the real motherfucking deal, man. To be able to hold down a guy like Dricus du Plessis, big traps, big shoulders, huge chest, big back, powerful legs, Dricus du Plessis, to be able to crucifix him for 5 minutes at a time, multiple times in the fight, that is crazy work, my friend. Crazy work. He's a problem. I don't see many styles being able to handle that, which is what makes matching him up so damn interesting. Shamini says, I was dying earlier from drinking too much last night. Barely finished the card, even with all the buffering from the stream. You were getting buffering too? I didn't get any. Luke was getting a lot too. And then Hank Hill says, Khamzat worked really hard on his cardio in camp. If he has a great gas tank, nobody can beat him. Great point, Hank Hill. I don't think I would see domination like we saw in the last Fluffy fight, but last night might have done it. Yeah, it might have topped the domination we saw at a Fluffy over Roman Dolidze. It might have done it. But going back to what you said about the cardio, Khamzat Chimaev now training with Sam Calvita, the same Sam that trained TJ Dillashaw to be the cardio king that he was, to dethrone Renan Barão. Remember that cardio? When he was just throwing, it seemed like 1,000 strikes in a minute against Renan Barão's head up against the cage until the referee pulled him off. That type of cardio. And I thought we would see Khamzat Chimaev use that motor to his advantage, and I thought that we would see Aaron Pico also use his motor to his advantage, and he was, until we'll get into that though. But yes, he has a great gas tank now because of the work he's putting in with guys like Sam Calvita, who have worked on cardio and worked on techniques for making fighters better at managing their cardio for years. And it's a proven system that works. Every single guy that you've seen go to Sam Calvita is fantastic gas tank after. It's not like they go out there and just gas again. We don't see that often. Now, Khamzat may have gassed a little bit in round 5, but guess what? Not by much, because he's still got Dricus down. Okay. So you got to keep that in mind. Now it's time for what we really want to do. And that's play matchmaker with this motherfucker right now. What is next for Khamzat Chimaev? I mean, look at this middleweight division right now. If I was the Wolf, I'd be salivating with all these names that I could take out right now. Nasruddin Imavov and Caio Borralho. They're fighting soon, September 17th, I believe. And then we're a month from today. And then we're going to figure out who might be another contender. Sean Strickland, old training partner of Khamzat Chimaev, in the shadows, talking a lot of shit on Twitter to Khamzat, and Khamzat replying, saying this guy's all talk. Israel Adesanya, he needs to get a win, but one good win, and you bet your ass that the UFC will march Israel Adesanya in there for a title shot. Sorry. I like combined Adesanya and title shot. That was weird. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, they flew him out to Chicago. There's a lot of names that Khamzat Chimaev can pick and choose next. There's a couple ones that are just ready right now. Sean Strickland's ready right now. Fluffy Hernandez ready right now. There are too many matchups for Khamzat. And if he's willing to do what he said he was going to do and be an active guy, I mean, think about it, people. We hadn't had Khamzat Chimaev in the States for the longest time because of visa issues. We hadn't had Khamzat Chimaev in the States since September 10th of 2022 in Las Vegas against Kevin Holland at UFC 279, which was supposed to be against Nate Diaz, by the way. But that's the last time we saw Khamzat in the U.S. And we finally get him back for UFC Chicago, UFC 319. And he does that. Okay? If we have Khamzat in the States, we could keep him active. Because there's a lot of places we can have the fight. Vegas, California, Florida. Shit, New York's coming up in November. There's a lot of motherfucking places. And if he's healthy and he wants to stay active and you're giving him names like Adesanya and Strickland, oh, you can bet your ass he'll fight at least one more time this year. If those are some of the names you're handing up to Khamzat, oh, yeah, he's ready now. He'll fight him next week. Okay? Even Fluffy, he probably doesn't view Fluffy as a threat. He should because of Fluffy's grappling ability. But to Khamzat, these guys ain't shit to him. If I was him, I'd feel the same way. Who is going to put up a fight against Khamzat? He's seen all these guys in training. He's trained with Bohalio. He's trained with Strickland. He's seen what grappling does to Adesanya. He's seen what getting tired does to Nasruddin Imavov. He's broken Robert Whittaker's jaw. Renier Ritter? Stop. Khamzat is not worried about anybody at 85. So much that he's calling out people up at 205. He's trying to get Alex Pereira, win or lose, after his fight against Magomed Ankalaev, his rematch. I'm so excited for all the things we could do with Khamzat Chimaev. He's like one of those guys in fantasy that has 4 different positions, like a Ben Simmons. You could put him at point guard, power forward, small forward, shooting guard. Just fucking move him around. Get your shit done. We'll have him at welterweight. Take this guy out. We'll put him up at 205. Take this guy out. We'll have him defend his title at 85. If he decides to be as active and as dominant as we perceive his game to be, we could see him become a bigger star than McGregor. We could see him become a bigger star than Ilia Topuria if he isn't already. Khabib, GSP, names like that. He could be considered among those names. If this lore continues to build the way it has, Khamzat Chimaev will be one of the greatest UFC fighters we've ever had. And don't forget, he's undefeated. That is a big marketing tool. So much of a marketing tool that Dana White tried to fucking change it for John Jones for years. Campaigned for years, glazing John Jones left and right like a donut. Having an O next to your record is the prettiest thing in MMA. Why do you think so many people love Khabib and still talk about him to this day? Because he ended his career undefeated. And if you can do that and be active and be dominant and talk your shit on the mic at the same time and operate in multiple countries, there is no fucking reason why this man can't be the biggest star we've ever seen in MMA. Especially if he decides to fight in multiple weight classes. So the Khamzat Chimaev slander is gonna be no more. I don't think we'll ever see this guy at less than minus 400 in a fight on the books ever again in our lives, unless he loses. Unless he loses, we will never see Khamzat Chimaev less than minus 400 against an opponent. He'll be minus 400 against Strickland. He'll be minus 500 or 600 against Imavov. He'll be minus 800 against Adesanya. He'll be minus 390, minus 400 against Caio Borralho. Maybe 5 or 6 against Anthony Hernandez. He'd be a minus 900 favorite if you fought Robert Whittaker again. And don't even get me started on the names below that. The UFC middleweight division's fucking shook right now. That's all I got to say. They're going to have to fight amongst themselves. That's what's going to happen. They're going to have to sort themselves out for who Khamzat Chimaev's next opponents are. They're like, hey, you guys, hey, you two, peasant, fight. That's what's going to have to fucking happen to make this shit happen, man. I mean, they're in for it. There's no more, you really have to separate yourself from the bunch now, or you may not have to if he's just staying active. It depends on what Khamzat we get. Truly. But there's too many matchups for him. That's the point I'm making. There's too many matchups. I can't even pick one. Everybody's got a little something. Everybody's got a different little spice I want to throw in the perpetual soup. Stuthius, if you will. All right. Shout out to the dude that made Stuthius. I love that content. But anyways, yeah. Hank Hill says, from visa issues to possibly fighting on the White House lawn. Fluffy wouldn't accept the positions that Drickus was in last night. This is true. Do you think Khamzat is going to move to the U.S. now that he's able to come to the U.S.? I don't think so. I feel like he operates too much in too many different countries already. He's not going to just put a stake in the ground in the U.S. and just hang out there. Especially when he likes to switch training partners a lot, move a lot. He's like a wolf, man. He's got to keep moving. Strum in the East says, or would it be smart for him to move to the U.S.? No, I don't think it would be smart, but it might be advantageous to have like some place that he goes to all the time. Hank Hill, if Kyle takes out Khamzat and Houfi takes out Ilya, I'd become a fighting nerd super fan. Laugh out loud. That would be too impressive. Brother, I bought a Carlos Pradas shirt this fucking morning. Okay? I got this shit express shipped. It's coming next week. Well, hopefully this week, actually. But yeah, I got myself a Carlos Pradas shirt. Next up, fighting nerd shirt. Next up, if Caio Borralho takes out Imavov, I'm getting a Caio shirt too. And if Gene Silva, I'm gonna have all their shirts like the fucking Ninja Turtles, bro. That's how it's gonna be. Obviously, Caio's Donatello, fucking Gene Silva's Raph. I would say Houfi's Leonardo, and that makes Carlos Pradas Michelangelo. It is what it is. It is what it is. They're like the fucking Ninja Turtles, bro. They're fucking dope. I love those guys. I need all 4 of their shirts, and I need a fighting nerd shirt. I need 5 fighting nerd shirts. Okay? That's what I fucking need. I don't want it. I need it. Okay? I love the fighting nerds. I'm a fighting nerds. You see how Just Bleed Radio's #1 Dakota fan? Yeah? I'm the #1 fighting nerds fan right here. I just don't have my glasses yet, but I'm going to get my glasses. I'm going to put that white tape on it. You can bet your ass I will. But speaking of this fight still, what's next for Dricus du Plessis? After a loss like that, he's fought a lot of these guys already. He fought Sean Strickland twice, beat him twice. He fought Israel Adesanya, finished him. He fought Robert Whittaker, finished him, right? Yeah. He beat a lot of these guys already. On the way up, he beat a lot of these guys. So that's why I think the only logical matchup that's had great social media buildup for about almost a year now, it's got to be Renier de Ridder. Let's do it. Please give us that Looney Tunes fight right the fuck now. Dricus du Plessis, Renier de Ridder. If de Ridder can somehow beat du Plessis, title shot. If du Plessis beats de Ridder, he's right back in the mix. I think it's a perfect matchup to make. I feel like there's no other matchup to make, to be honest. Everybody else is already booked. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. I don't want to see any more rematches. I'm so sick and tired of rematches. I am so tired of rematches, especially at middleweight and welterweight. Boy, have we gotten a slew of rematches at fucking welterweight and middleweight in the last half decade in the UFC. Holy shit. Thanks, Kamaru Usman. You started a fucking trend, you dick. Oh my God. It's all we've gotten. Rematch. Leon Edwards, let me get a rematch. Everybody getting fucking rematches out here. What the hell is going on? But yeah, those are only matchups for Hamzat, man. And that's the only thing I want to see for Dricus du Plessis as well. So hopefully somebody, jumps out, makes himself known, and we could see that. But yeah, hell yeah. Sherman E says, wait, you don't think Kaio is Leonardo? He's like the leader for the fighting nerds. Where did I have him? I put him as Donatello because he's the smartest out of all of them. That's the reason. I mean, leader, yeah, he's probably the leader. So that would make him Leonardo, but I wouldn't put Hoofy as the smartest. So maybe switch Donatello and Leonardo. Maybe have Kaio as Leonardo and Hoofy as Donatello. But I just feel that Kaio's the smartest out of all of them, so he'd be Donatello. That's why. But I used to love, speaking of Saturdays, bro, that used to be my shit. I forget what channel. It was like channel 7 or channel 4 or whatever it was. But Saturday mornings, I get myself a big ass bowl of cereal and I'd sing along to that fucking Ninja Turtles theme song, bro. And I watched that whole episode from the very first second it started. If I even missed a second of the start, I'd be fucking visibly upset for the rest of the day. Okay, that was my favorite shit. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles counted off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turtles, mutant chain reaction. Turtles living underground. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That was my shit. All right. Every Saturday, I was on that. Grandma's house, chilling. So yeah, I'm a big fighting nerds, big Ninja Turtles guy. And that's why there's so much correlation. I think that's why I like them so much. That's probably why. Anyways, who would be the obviously I'm not even let's move on. UFC 319 happened. UFC 319. What a night of fights. Now, I haven't seen a card exceed expectations like this. Well, I kind of did a couple weeks ago. But anyways, it's few and far between. And this card was going to be a dud, in my opinion, because of how many fights fell out so close to the fight. We lost Diego Fajeda, Bobby King Green. We lost Nursultan Ruziboev. We lost Brian Battle. We lost a bunch of fights, man. I think a couple fights fell out like a couple weeks before the event, too. So it wasn't set to be great. They had to move fights around, bring in a guy from Contender Series. It was a whole bunch of shit going on. But in the end, we got a back-to-back, one of the nicest finishes of the year, both spinning elbows. Okay, let's start with the co-main event first. Lerone Murphy defeats Aaron Pico via knockout, spinning elbow, round 1, 3 minutes and 21 seconds. Aaron Pico, coming over from Bellator, if you don't already know, was an All-American wrestler and boxer, Golden Gloves boxer. Fantastic at both, heavy-handed, and puts guys to sleep. And when he put guys to sleep, he did his gravedigger celebration where he's shoveling out the dirt, laying the body down. Okay, that's what he used to do. But Aaron Pico, over his career, especially early, his very first fight, he was knocked out and then subbed in. Okay. And he was knocked out multiple times in Bellator. But he was saying all the right things coming into this UFC fight week. He was doing all the right things. He was training with all the right people at Jackson Wink and with Sam Calvita, working on his cardio. But this thing about MMA is your DNA is your DNA. Dustin Poirier is always going to jump that ghillie. Justin Gaethje is always going to engage in a firefight. And Aaron Pico is always going to make a mistake at some point that leads to him getting finished. And that's what seems to be the story of Aaron Pico. When he gets the finish and when he's in control, he looks fantastic, and he's probably going to put his opponent away. But if you get a very experienced fighter in there and you get him to make a couple of mistakes, i.e., like Lerone Murphy did, i.e., like Jeremy Kennedy did. Sorry, not Jeremy Kennedy. Oh, yeah, Jeremy Kennedy, yeah. I.e., like Adam Borch and Henry Corrales did, like Zach Freeman did. You're going to finish Aaron Pico. And unfortunately, we see another Bellator, PFL, other promotion prospect come to the UFC and lose in their very first fight. This is one of the first times we've seen it by a vicious finish, though. This was eye-opening. This made me... there's no way I'm giving up on the Aaron Pico experiment, but my title aspirations for Aaron Pico have completely dissipated. They're gone. At this point, from what I've seen from him, no offense at all, and I don't mean this to be a dick in any single way, shape, or form, but I feel like at this point, his ceiling would be more of a Justin Gaethje. And no offense to Justin Gaethje, he's a former champion. He's an interim champion. But that is the ceiling. Maybe one day getting an interim title, but I don't see the full title. I don't see it. There's too many mistakes still being made in the same way. And Aaron Pico's a fantastic fighter, but sometimes your DNA is your DNA. The holes are the holes. Your tendencies are your tendencies. And when people pick up on your tendencies, it doesn't end well a lot of the times. But I just don't see title on it. And I was thinking that before the fight. I was like, why would they match him up this tough? An undefeated guy in the UFC, maybe 1 or 2 wins removed from a title shot? And they gave that guy to Aaron Pico, and Aaron Pico had to pay for it. It's tough to see because that spinning elbow was vicious. Aaron Pico was out before he even touched the mat. The second Lerone Murphy's elbow left his temple, he was out. And then Lerone Murphy ended the fight with one more shot as Aaron Pico was down, just to stiffen him up just a little bit more. That was a tough one to watch because you hate to see a solid prospect like Aaron Pico, who before this fight, I had title aspirations. I was like, yo, if he comes in and does what I think he can do to Lerone Murphy, he might be 2 wins, maybe 1 win away from a title shot. But at this point, there are so many killers in the UFC featherweight division. And if Lerone Murphy, who, no offense to Lerone Murphy, he's not known for getting finishes in the UFC at all. All right. He is not the guy that you're like, oh, we'll get him in there. Be careful. He might finish you. I mean, he just came off 5 straight decisions. He hadn't had a finish since knocking out Makwan Amirkhani at October 30th of 2021, almost a half decade ago in Abu Dhabi. And Amirkhani is one of those guys that gets finished by everybody. No offense to him. Same with Ricardo Ramos. Those are the 2 guys that Lerone Murphy has finished in the UFC. And now he's spinning back elbowed Aaron Pico. So that's why I'm off the Pico championship aspirations boat. He's going to be a very fun fighter to watch because no matter what, it's going to be an exciting fight. But I got to draw the line. It is what it is. Also with a spinning back elbow KO. Carlos Pradas, fighting nerds, smoke a cigarette, drink a little beer, liquor. Carlos Pradas knocks out Jeff Neal in round 1, 4 minutes and 59 seconds left. There was 1 second left on the clock. The final bell horn went off, and then Jeff Neal was finished. He was on his back looking at the lights. Carlos Pradas set up his shot and nailed it. Jeff Neal saying before the fight, there's no way that this fight leaves the first round. And while we were streaming watching it, I was literally telling Luke, I was like, Jeff Neal's a motherfucking liar. He said we wouldn't see this fight end at the first round. And then I joke with Luke. I'm like, oh, he knocked him out because Luke's stream froze, right? I was just joking. And then he actually knocked him out. And I was like, holy shit, he knocked him out. I couldn't believe it, man. It was one of the most exciting knockouts I've seen in a long time. Carlos Pradas is going to be making waves at welterweight for a long, long time. And maybe he's in the same range. Well, not at all, because Carlos Pradas is obviously a much more talented fighter who's taking out much more talented fighters. But maybe he's in that Gagey cowboy range too, where we don't see Carlos Pradas fight for a title. But I'm not mad at that either. Okay? Maybe a grappling heavy style doesn't favor him. Not everybody can win every fight. But Carlos Pradas is always going to touch that button on somebody and put him out. And I appreciate guys like him. I appreciate guys like Justin Gagey. I appreciate all the killers that put it on the line just to make an exciting fight. I appreciate you motherfuckers so much. Oh, you're my favorite. So I can't wait to see what they match him up with next. I'm not even gonna play matchmaker. This shit like a bag of jelly beans for me. I don't care what I get as long as it's not the black licorice jelly bean. I don't care what's coming through. Put Carlos Pradas against anybody, and I'm happy. I don't give a fuck. Anybody in that top 10: Burns, Covington, Buckley, Morales, a rematch with Machado, Gary, Usman, Edwards, Shavkat. I don't give a fuck. Give me Carlos Pradas against any one of those dudes, and I'm happy. Any single one. That man is must-see TV. Must-see TV. Fight Talk Only says, I saw an account with a live video on talking about UFC 319 and fights. I clicked. What's up, one more round, chat? What up, Fight Talk Only? What's good? How you feeling this Sunday night? Morning Wombat says, do you think Pico can bounce back from this? This was a vicious KO. I'm concerned that he's taking too much damage at this point in his career. Another great point about Aaron Pico. So young in his career and has taken so many vicious KOs already. I don't know why I'm laughing. That was like an awkward laugh because this is definitely not something to laugh about. I mean, he's 28 years old and has been viciously knocked out 3 times. Lerone Murphy, Henry Corrales, Adam Boric. A flying knee is a vicious knockout. And the Henry Corrales knockout was bad too. And not to mention that he got dropped real bad against Zach Freeman until Zach Freeman decided to be nice and yank up the neck and not give him more brain damage. So a lot of people were saying when Pico first came up, it was too much too soon, too much too soon. And we have learned fucking nothing. Nothing. Because we still have this image of him in our head that he's this fucking world beater and we keep giving him killers. You literally started this guy in the UFC off with the number 6 ranked fighter at featherweight, the undefeated 6th ranked fighter at featherweight. That's fucked up, man. We've seen this kid knocked out multiple times. And even though Lerone Murphy wasn't known for knocking people out, that's still a tough-ass matchup, man. We can't start off with a fringe 15, see what he can do, and then give him somebody there? Why do we have to throw him to the wolves like this? That's the only thing I don't understand about Aaron Pico's career. Maybe he's signing up for it. Maybe he's calling these shots. And maybe he needs a new fucking manager. How about that? Why the fuck is he getting all these opportunities? Every time he gets it, the same thing happens. The same thing happens. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. So we really need to manage some of these fighters' careers more effectively. It's fucking crazy, bro. We may have ruined his career by pushing him too fast. We may have Sage Northcutted him. We may have Sage Northcutted him. And Lerone Murphy, you know who he is. Real James Ladner says Pico should go up and fight Chandler. Stop. Please stop. Do you guys hate him? I mean, Chandler's a solid fight, but Chandler's a war bringer. And I don't think Pico's head is ready for war anytime soon. And Chandler probably wants to get back on the saddle real quick. So that would be akin to Charles Oliveira taking on Rafael Fiziev. I wouldn't like that. Fight Talk only says Pico getting dropped by the way he did after he was so confident, and knowing Leon's history, that was supposed to happen. That is true. If you guys haven't seen my fighter spotlight on Lerone Murphy, go check it out. I had a fighter spotlight on him a few months ago. Check it out. Go to the channel. Go to the playlist. Fighter spotlights. You'll see it. It's probably like maybe 6 or 7 spotlights back. But check it out. Lerone Murphy's story is pretty dope. Almost like a Leon Edwards. Okay. Real James Ladner says they are the same person, Lerone's. From now on, only let PFL tour fighters fight other PFLers. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. Who do we got at 45 for Pico? We got anybody good? That we got, well, Patricio. Pico Patricio wouldn't be bad. Holy shit, that wouldn't be bad at all. I like that a lot. Because it's either Pico gets back on track and we're like, okay, we finally got him on the rails, or Patricio gets another win and you're like, all right, well, he was a former champ over there. This is a win-win for us. We get to feed one and basically clip the rosebud to make sure the flower grows bigger and better, if you will. But yeah, Strumany says, so what's a fun matchup for Pico with his debut loss? Here, I'm going to give you a fire one. I'm going to go off the dome real quick. How about Damon Jackson? How about Damon Jackson? How about that? A little bit older, still got some kick to him, still beating people. He lost. Oh, shit. He lost 4 of his last 5. But he beat Alexander Hernandez, who got a nice win. Beat Pat Sabatini. Showed he can beat some of these younger guys. If Pico could have beat him. But I think he's back at lightweight. So maybe that doesn't work. What about Christian Rodriguez? He's up at 45. He just lost to Andre Fili. That's not a bad one. 2 young guys going at it. They can both bang a little bit. You know what? I like that. Christian Rodriguez, Aaron Pico. That's my final answer. Chandler, stop. Praches, vamos. Let's go. Yeah, Pico and Cheeto Vera are fighters I can't trust anymore when it comes to money line bets. Yeah, Cheeto needs the right opponent for me to be like, oh yeah. And he's got to be a dog. A lot of the times when Cheeto's a sizable dog, I'm like, bro, I don't know why Cheeto's a dog. This is an easy Cheeto win right here. And yeah, Lazy said, oh, the smoke of cigarettes. Fight Talk says, Lazy, it's my first time on this chat, brother. You're everywhere. Mad respect to my boy Lazy. Lazy's the man, brother. Lazy's a fucking day oneer. FTO, my Peruvian brother. Glad you found my guy Gaff here. Peru and Haiti linking up. Peru and Haiti link. What up, brother? I'm glad. I'm gonna check your shit out too. Peru got some good foods. Oh, food. Lomo saltado, so good. Get out of here. Yes, please. Pico versus Pitbull, right? I like that. Pico versus Pitbull or Pico versus Christian Rodriguez. The fight Bellator never got, right? That would be a nice little fuck you from the UFC to Bellator. Like, yeah, or PFL. Like, yeah, fuck you. We're going to put it on over here. You guys always wanted to do it, never got to do it. And then he says, didn't he retire twice? Possibly. possibly. Lomo saltado, ceviche, pachama. I don't even know how to say that. And papala. Oh, all right. I'm not even going to attempt it. Not even going to attempt it. All right, but the rest of the UFC 319. Michael Venom Page defeats Jared Cannonier via unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. Across the board. Michael Venom Page was the first bald black man named Michael to dribble in the United Center since the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan. Michael Venom Page was doing all types of antics in there. He was dribbling, he was emoting, he was clip baiting, he was clip farming. He was doing everything he could in there to make social media worthy moments. And yeah, he did, man. He did his classic MVP dance out to the cage, vibe into his music, get in the zone, style on his opponent, make him look stupid, drop him once or twice, and then get wrestled a little bit, but manage to win the fight. That was a classic Michael Venom Page fight right there. It's either you get that or you get him knocking somebody the fuck out. So I'm thankful for Jared Cannonier still having all his senses about him at the end of this, because I like Jared Cannonier. And Michael Venom Page looked great. He's going to be a fun installment as well. What if we somehow see Michael Venom Page versus Chimaev in the future? I think we all know how that ends based off Michael Venom Page's career and trajectories and who he's fought. I mean, Paul Daly took him down multiple times. So, yeah. But anyways, that's a possible fight in the future if Michael Venom Page continues to win at both 170 and 185. I know he hasn't won at 170, but he's won at 185, and that's Hamzat's division. So glad to see him getting a win. Sad to see Jared Cannonier lose, but he looked great in that third round. He started coming back, getting the wrestling done, staying on top. He had some heavy hips on Michael Page. And if he got that game plan, if he adjusted his game plan earlier, that probably would have won him the fight. But that's the game we play. You get 3 rounds and 3 judges to figure out if you won the fight. And these 3 judges did not think he won the fight. Tim Elliott defeats Kaya Sakura via submission. Guillotine choke, round 2, 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Tim Elliott getting one for the old dudes. Tim Elliott getting it done. I mean, Dana Black was even calling Tim Elliott a founding father of flyweight. I mean, yeah, technically, because he was one of those people in that tournament, and then he ended up fighting DJ for the title. Obviously, not winning a single round, but still made a good account of himself, staying to the final bell. But Tim Elliott defeats Kaya Sakura by submission. Tim Elliott didn't look great in round 1. He couldn't find his range. Kaya Sakura was landing a bunch of shots on him, staying on the outside, making Tim Elliott look like he didn't know what he was doing in there. And then Tim Elliott switched his game plan a little bit in round 2. He threw more feints. Kaya Sakura seemed like he was getting more tired at that point in the fight. Tim Elliott snatched up a ghillie as Kaya Sakura tried to sit up and get a better position. And he got the tap. Tim Elliott looked like he was having a good time in there. He looked like he was finally at peace with himself. Even before the fight, looking concerning because he had a big bushy beard, long hair. He looked like he was unkempt. I was a little worried for him. And then we see him after the press conference, fully clean shaven, nice haircut, styling, feeling good, saying all the right things. It was like a complete turnaround change, just like that for him. And it was great to see him finally get a win, get on the right track. I mean, Kaya Sakura wouldn't have been such a fruitful win anyways for the UFC. He already lost for the title. He's coming in from another promotion. It made all the more sense that Tim Elliott would get this win over Kaya Sakura and employ a grappling heavy style that we've seen beat Kaya Sakura already. So yeah, shout out to Tim Elliott. Huge win. I'm glad he's got some money in that bank account, because he was saying that he was basically down to his last $100, last few $100. So huge come from behind win for Tim Elliott. Not too far behind. It was still a close fight after the first, even though Kyle Sakura definitely won that round. Tim Elliott had him on his back at the end of the round, and that basically was the seed for Tim Elliott's game plan to bloom. But yeah. Bansagur Sursakayev defeats Tom Nolan via submission. Rear naked choke, round 2, 2 minutes and 1 seconds. Sursakayev just won on Contender Series. Me and Luke covered his fight last Tuesday. We will be doing again this Tuesday at 8, covering for those 2 hours Dana White's Contender Series. So see you guys again Tuesday on the main card minute. But he gets a big win here. He gets a round 1 TKO on Contender Series. He gets a round 2 submission in the UFC. 2 UFC fights, less than a week. What a fucking killer. What a fucking killer. Training partner of Khamzat Chimaev. It was already written that they'd both get a win on this card. It was only a matter of how. And of course, both the least likely ways for both guys is what happened. A Chimaev decision and a Sursakayev sub. Who the fuck would have had that in a parlay, huh? Not me. Michael Oleksiejczuk defeats Gerald Meerschaert via TKO punches round 1. No surprise there. If Oleksiejczuk wins, it's a round 1 KO. If Meerschaert wins, it's a round 1 or 2 sub. The KO guy won. He happens to be training with Fighting Nerds. The Fighting Nerds parlay cashes. We'll talk about that more shortly. Lupi Godinez defeats Jessica Andrade via unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. It is what it is. This fight's exactly what we expected. Lupi Godinez to get out early, get some takedowns, beat up her opponent with the volume. And then towards the end, Jessica Andrade came back, started landing some powerful strikes. I think she bloodied up Lupi. But Lupi gets the win, 29-28 across the board. Alexander Hernandez defeats Chase Hooper via TKO punches, round 1, 4 minutes and 58 seconds. Another late stoppage at the end of round 1. Another theme of the night. But this one was a little weird for me because Alexander Hernandez did drop Chase Hooper, but Chase Hooper was doing all the right things. After getting dropped, he sat back, flopped to his back to assess the situation and get his head out of striking range from his opponent. He started to play guard and build a base to get back to his feet. But for some reason at that point, he hadn't even eaten a couple more shots at that point. Jason Herzog decided to step in. Now, a couple schools of thought. Jason Herzog's known for being this type of referee, getting in there sooner rather than later. So no surprise there. But could this have been backlash from the fight a couple weeks ago where the opponent was dropped 7 times and finally I think the doctors called it off in between rounds 2 and 3 to end the fight? It wasn't even Jason Herzog. That could have been backlash from that fight. Could have been, him trying to make up for that in some way. I don't know. Only he knows. I just thought it was a little bit early of a stoppage. Chase Hooper, it was at the end of the round 2. He literally needed 2 more seconds to recover. Would have seen around round 2. So for me, that was an early stoppage. Some would say they saved Chase Hooper more damage. Some would say they ended Chase Hooper's winning streak and changed the trajectory of his career. Either way, Alexander Hernandez did his job. He went in there, landed the big shot, which is what he likes to do when he fights. He got the dubber, and we can't take that away from him. He looked fantastic. He's on a win streak now. He's gotten a few wins in a row. It was a matter of whose streak was going to die. Was it going to be Alexander Hernandez's 2-fight win streak dying, or was it going to be Chase Hooper's 5-fight win streak dying? And it happened to be Chase Hooper's 5-fight win streak, unfortunately. So shout out to Alexander Hernandez. Big bounce back win for him. He's been getting a lot of decisions recently, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Austin Hubbard and Kurt Hollabaugh. And then he finally got himself a finish. His first finish in the UFC since knocking out Mike Breeden October 2nd of 2021. A lot of guys, we haven't seen them since October of 2021. That's kind of weird. That's been a theme of today. But yeah, let's finish off the rest of this UFC 319 card. Drakkar Klose defeats Edson Barbosa in a unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. He got out early. Edson Barbosa tried to come back late in that 3rd round. Too little, too late. Edson Barboza, classic of the sport at both lightweight and featherweight, but Jakar Close did his job, went in there, landed the bigger, powerful strikes, and he got the win, cutting up Barboza as well. Some were saying Barboza might have came into this fight with an injury. They were saying his right eye looked a little funky going into this. Every fighter goes into every fight with some injuries, okay? These motherfuckers are training every day, kicking and punching each other. Karine Silva defeats Dion Barbosa. Unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. I think this was the right decision. Some people thought this was a close one. It should have went the other way. I did not. Fighting nerds adjacent fighters. I do not consider anybody that isn't Bruno Brazil, Mauricio Hufi, Jean Silva, Caio Borralho, or Carlos Pradas. If you ain't them five motherfuckers, you are not fighting nerds. You are fighting nerds adjacent. I'm sorry to break it to you. You train with the fighting nerds. You are not a fighting nerd. I don't want to hear any of that shit. None of it. They are not fighting nerds. They are fighting nerd adjacent. Karine Silva, fighting nerd adjacent. Michael Oleksiejczyk, fighting nerd adjacent. Who the fuck was the guy from 2 weeks ago, the jiu-jitsu guy that learned to jab? Him too, adjacent. Okay? They're not one of the fighting nerds, in my opinion. No offense. Sorry if your butt hurt about it. Sorry. And then the last fight, Joseph Morales wins the tough finale. I told you, motherfuckers. This is why I watch that shit every Tuesday, to watch who I think is going to win the fight, who's been saying all the right things, who's been showing up every day, doing the right things. And it was Joe Morales. Alibi Idris was too young. I didn't think that style was going to beat Joe Morales. Everybody thought I was crazy for taking a plus 300 dog. I was like, bro, it's Joe Morales. That's a UFC vet right there. You think this new guy, just because he's Kazakhstani, he's going to come in here and beat up Joe Morales? Team Alpha Male? Joe Morales? No way. Had to. And I tried to tell everybody. Nobody would listen, though. Nobody would listen. So shout out to Joe Morales. Huge win for Team Sonnen. He wins the tough finale. We have to wait to see the middleweight matchup. That's going to be on UFC Noche, but Joe Morales is the champion of tough. So he wins by triangle choke, round 2, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. A beautifully set up triangle choke. If you know Joe Morales, you know his grappling is elite, and he's got some nice hands when he wants to. When he wants to get into that mode, Boppo has some nice hands, okay? So, yeah, shout out to Joe Morales. If you're wondering about which fighters receive bonuses, 4 got $50,000 bonuses, and one of them might surprise you. Lerone Murphy, Carlos Pradas, Tim Elliott, and Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev got a $50,000 bonus. Now, some would be like, what? Just for holding down Dricus du Plessis like that? I mean, that was more worthy than a Michael Oleksiejczyk round 1 KO, than an Alexander Hernandez round 1 KO, than a Joseph Morales winning tough submission, coming back from the dead, essentially, reviving his career. Those weren't more deserving of, I mean, in my opinion, Khamzat Chimaev doesn't need that 50K. Joe Morales does need that 50K. That is my only argument for saying that. Joe Morales deserved that 50K for starting off the night with a finish, getting it going, winning tough, coming back, could keep it. Mind you, he's been out of the UFC for 5 years. Sorry, longer than that. He's been out of the UFC for 7 years. He had to fight in Cage Warriors twice, and then Uriah Faber's A1 Combat 8, and then fight on Tough to finally get back in the UFC. And then he got a sub to start off the night and win the Tough finale. And that wasn't worth $50,000. That's my only problem. That was my only problem with Khamzat Chimaev earning that $50,000. Now, everybody else can have other issues as to why he got that 50K. But for me, I think Joe Morales deserved it. I think it should have been 2 KOs, 2 subs. Khamzat Chimaev getting a $50,000 bonus was complete favoritism, and it shows. And that's all I have to say about that. That's my coverage of UFC 319. PFL 9 happened. Remember PFL? A lot of weird stuff on this card. So I'm going to try to be brief because I got a bad taste in my mouth from this card, and I need to get through it. Okay, I need to just be done and over with it. Alfie Davis defeats Gadzi Rabadinov via unanimous decision 48-47 across the board to win the lightweight tournament championship in the PFL. Gadzi Rabadinov decided to stick with his striking style to start this fight, and this may have been his undoing. Because when he did decide to grapple, and he did get Alfie Davis down early and did control Alfie Davis seemed like he didn't even want to try to get off his back. He was happy just landing strikes off his back. Didn't want to give Rabadinov an opportunity to submit him, which turned out to be a great game plan. He cooked the clock. When the fight got back to his feet, he styled on Gadzi Rabadinov, confused Gadzi Rabadinov with throwing multiple striking attacks, keeping him on his back foot, not allowing him to advance. And Alfie Davis essentially earned himself the lightweight tournament championship. Now, some people were saying it should have been 3-2, Gadzi Rabadinov. That's how I saw it originally. I saw it rounds 1, 2, 3, Gadzi, rounds 4, 5 were absolutely Davis, right? The problem here is that round 2, both rounds 2 and 3 were a little wonky. So I wouldn't call this a robbery in any way, shape, or form. I think Alfie Davis absolutely deserved to win this. Problem is that a lot of people were betting Rabadinov. I don't think too many people had Alfie Davis winning. But it is what it is. I'm glad to see a nice shakeup. I would love to see a rematch between them in the future because obviously Gadzi would change his game plan accordingly. And I'm sure Alfie Davis has some things that he could change as well to make it more clear as to why he should have won this fight. But yeah, Alfie Davis is your champion. Liz Carmouche defeats Jenna Bishop via TKO punches. Round 3, 2 minutes and 56 seconds for the women's flyweight tournament championship in the PFL. Liz Carmouche was talking smack in the most polite way possible by just stating the facts. She was saying that Jenna Bishop was crying last time they trained together. She beat her up and had her submitted, and she had her crying to her husband and all this stuff, which were essentially facts. Because Liz Carmouche isn't a big shit talker, if you know Liz Carmouche. And Liz Carmouche looked like she had a little bit of venom in her for this fight. She wanted to put some sting on them punches. When she got into these grappling exchanges, she wanted to make Jenna Bishop pay. And you could see it the way she was throwing some of these punches and attacking her. Liz Carmouche put it on Jenna Bishop with a barrage of punches, landing with the third shot, dropping Jenna Bishop, and then finishing with the fight with more punches. Liz Carmouche absolutely earned herself this championship, and I'm glad to see, again, she has a belt wrapped around her waist because she deserves it. Shout out to Liz Carmouche. Shout out to the Girl-Rilla team, and glad to see her become the champion. Marcely Alves defeats Justin Wetzel via unanimous decision, 49-46, 48-47, 48-47, and he is your bantamweight tournament championship champion for the PFL. Justin Wetzel implemented his game plan 1 round too late. Alves was beating him up on the feet constantly in rounds 1 and 2, landing multiple big strikes to the head, hooks, overhands, big shots to the body kicks. But Justin Wetzel was investing that entire time. He was investing in leg kicks. He was investing in fake shots and feints to tax the gas tank of Marcely Alves. And it was working because rounds 4 and 5 absolutely belonged to Justin Wetzel. He started putting it on Alves. He was able to take him down a couple times, make him work, had him breathing heavy. But the judges saw it that it was Alves's fight. And Alves got the win, unfortunately for Justin Wetzel. He was the bigger fighter. He was the longer fighter, but Alves was the busier fighter and just did a little bit more. And that's why he's your champion. So shout out to those 3 fighters winning the championships. I think we have another few tournament championship fights coming next week. So don't forget, we will be streaming Thursday That's Thursday. PFL is Thursday this week. Thursday night, we will be doing a combat companion for PFL 10 right here on the One More Round Fights channel. Luke might come. We got to see what happens. But yeah, we're definitely doing the PFL watch along on Thursday. They are not on Friday this week. It is Thursday. So if you guys are, don't miss it. The weigh-ins will be on fucking Wednesday. You're gonna be like, what the fuck's going on? Why is this so early? Because the fight's are on Thursday. Okay. And to finish out the main card, Robert Watley defeats Mads Burnell via TKO punches. Robert Watley, this was round 3, 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Robert Watley, a relative unknown in both PFL and Bellator. Not a lot of people know who Robert Watley is. A lot of people know who Mads Burnell is, which is why Mads Burnell losing the fight was so upsetting, because Mads Burnell had the fight in hand. He was beating up his opponent in rounds 1 and 2, had him controlled up against the fence, was beating him with volume. And then in round 3, Robert Watley decides that he can't let Mads Burnell do the same thing in round 3. He comes out right away, starts putting it on Mads Burnell, puts him down, reverses him onto the mat, lands a bunch of punches. Mads Burnell's shelling up, can't block any of these strikes, gasses out, and Robert Watley TKOs him. The referee has to step in. It's a fantastic win for Robert Watley. So I was glad to see him get a win. Mads Burnell seems to be on the downs. I don't see a lot of success coming out of his camp recently. So upsettingly enough, Mads Burnell was surging at one point, but it seems no more. On the prelims, Juliana Velasquez avenges her loss to Katerina Shakalova and beats her by unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. Beat her handily. Beat her up on the feet, landed with vicious strikes. Katerina Shakalova was bleeding. She was bloodied. She was battered. She tried to get takedown. She couldn't get him. Velasquez got subbed the first time. She made sure she fixed all those holes from the first time, and she got the win. Biagio Ali Walsh defeats Adrian Grundy via knockout punches. Round 3, 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Biagio Ali Walsh just started. He started real slow. Like I said, I thought he'd take this fight slower because last time he came out too fast and he ended up getting finished. And he did exactly that. He kept a nice steady pace the entire fight. And then when he finally saw his opponent start to gas, he stepped on the gas a little bit more, and then he got him out of there. Shout out to Biagio Ali Walsh starting to finally understand this game of MMA. And people got to understand, when you first start MMA, there's a fucking learning curve, man, because keep in mind, when you're first starting, you're an amateur, you're an early pro, you're knocking everybody out. You're like, holy shit, I'm one of the greatest in the world. You don't even know that you need your gas tank for some fighters. And then you face somebody that you're going to need full 15-minute gas tank for. And you don't have it because you burnt half of it trying to finish them in round 1. And he had to learn that valuable lesson. He did. He came back A++ on this quiz. Sabrina De Souza defeats Soraya Orozco via unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. Orozco, tough as all hell, man. Souza was landing some big shots, hurt her multiple times, but Orozco was not letting her get a finish. Okay, Orozco lasted till the final bell, but not a single judge thought she won a single round. Hanat Kavalov defeats Vilson Drishgoni, TKO strikes, round 1, 2 minutes and 49 seconds. If you guys want to go see a fun knockout in the PFL, go check that out. That was a good one. Chris Mixon defeats Conley St. Louis via KO. Punches, round 1, 4 minutes and 36 seconds. My Haitian brethren had to lose. It was a tough watch. Conley St. Louis was doing good work. He was landing the better strikes. He was taking his opponent down, getting on top. And then he ate a big strike and never recovered from there. Mixon just kept putting it on him and eventually got him out of there. Yeah, and Damian Nelson defeats Isaiah Diggs in a split decision, 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. I thought Diggs won this fight, in my opinion. I don't think Damian Nelson deserved to win the fight. Diggs was the one pressing the action. Diggs had him up against the cage. Diggs was landing the better shots, landing more shots. Now, Nelson did have a solid round 2, I believe. But I thought it was a 30-27 Diggs win. I was shocked to see that Nelson got the split decision win. I wouldn't say it was a robbery, but I was definitely confused when the judges raised the other guy's hand. That's all I'll say about that. Let's get in this chat, bro. I've been fucking blabbering about the PFL. I've been blabbering about the fucking PFers. The PFers. Lazy says, I felt so bad for Jared those first 2 rounds. He looked so old. 3rd round salvaged a little bit. Yeah, he had to wait for for MVP to use his gas tank and to make it closer, because MVP when he first comes out, he's fucking doing dances, doing fucking all this shit. He's like a fucking little kid on candy. You know what I mean? He's just out there doing shit left and right. You're like, yo, bro, calm down. You're gonna need this gas tank. He looked. And then MVP will probably never get a KO in the UFC as long as he fights up. He's too much of a showman. He needs to try to kill. And also, if he's fighting at middleweight, I don't think he's going to get a finish either. It's going to be hard to finish a lot of these guys at middleweight. Some of these guys at middleweight cut down from 230, 220. And you, Michael Venom Page, cutting down from 190, it's going to be real hard to take out a guy that's naturally 30 pounds heavier than you. It just is. Sherman Lee says, just sad that Michael Page is a bit old when he first got into the UFC. He's 38 right now. Imagine he was in the UFC in his early to mid 20s. He would have been Adesanya. We would have had him at 70. He would have took out Usman early instead of Leon Edwards. And then we would have had him and Adesanya as champions, and we would have been like, whoa, we should have them super fight, but they never will because they're friends. I heard a lot of people saying, wow, Michael Venom Page looked good. He should fight Izzy next. They're friends. They go to the club together. They're not going to fight each other. They hit each other up to go to the club together. Would you fight one of your boys for money? I wouldn't. I mean, depends how much money, but I wouldn't. UFC would have benefited more if Kai won to get their foothold back in the Japanese market. Yeah, that's the one thing that, I mean, they still got Tatsuda Taira. They still got what's the other guy? Ray Saruya. They still got some guys over there. It's not the worst thing, but yeah, Kyle Sakura taking an L really doesn't look good for them, especially when they have a UFC Shanghai coming up. I know they're not at all the same country. I'm just saying the Asian market in general. It could have been nice. Could have been nice. Could have been nice. Damn near threw up when Tim Elliott won because I saw it in my head during the week. Just couldn't believe in it. Same. I saw him taking down Kai and somehow beating him. I thought it was gonna be by decision actually, but then those odds scared me. I was too pussy to do it. I was like, they got Kai as minus 300. I was like, fuck it, nah, I can't do it. I can't trust Tim Elliott after all this time. And I should have trusted my gut. Usually when I trust my gut, we make a lot of money too. Credit to Eric Nolan for taking that fight on 4 days' notice and up a weight class. Shout out to Eric Nolan, man. He's a Cage Fury Fighting Championship champion. And yeah, he fought a very tough opponent on 4 days' notice. He looked great in round one, arguably won round one. I actually put a live bet on him after round one. I was like, bro, he's winning this fight. And then he got finished. He started eating some leg kicks he really didn't like. Ate some, hey, it is what it is. I agree that it was an early stoppage in the Hernandez versus Hooper fight since the ref knew it was under 10 seconds for the round to end. Exactly. He heard the clapper. There's a sequence of events at the end of every round. You hear the clapper, then the bell goes off. He heard the clapper. Can't miss it. Literally can't miss it. So that was weird for Herzog to stop it and to take that chance away from a fighter like that. I know it wasn't a title fight or anything crazy, but shit. In my opinion, Chase got too confident with his stand-up. Most of his finishes were submissions. He's a monster in BJJ. Yeah. When you're young, you always got to learn these lessons in MMA. Just like Biagio Ali Walsh. He had to learn about his gas tank. Chase Hooper has to learn the who was it that was like, man, I need to stop trying to strike. I just need to do my grappling. Was that Moicano? I think it was Moicano, yeah. Because Moicano was like, yo, I was getting knocked out all the time. I was like, man, I just need to use my jiu-jitsu. And then he was taking all these guys down, submitting them, beating them with TKOs on the ground. You just got to turn into Moicano, bro. Just use your striking to get to the grappling. That's it. Nobody wants to see you knock people out. We want to see you do some crazy shit and sub people. Stick to your DNA. This is what happens. When fighters try to stay outside their DNA, they fucking take L's. PFL was rough. You were right. If they don't have Khabib in their corner, don't bet on them. Exactly. As soon as I seen the corner, I was like, wait, why the fuck isn't Khabib there? Why is Khabib not in the corner? My fucking stomach dropped through my ass and through my chair, through my floor, down into fucking hell after I saw that. I was like, where the fuck is Khabib? He was in Kabalayev's corner. Why is he not in Rabanov's corner? And for me, that was a huge red flag. Absolutely ginormous red flag. And Real James Ladner says, I'll fight my friends for free. I've definitely fought my friends for free. I mean, not fist fought. We, wrestled and shit. Have I fought any of my friends like legit fist fought? I mean, boxing gloves, obviously, but like fought. I don't think so. Yeah, but I would. If they piss me off enough, I would. For sure. Let's get into some boxing. We had some boxing this weekend. Just to end this little stream real quick. We got some boxing, and then we'll get some picks out of here. Omar Trinidad and Lorenzo Parra fought. I'm going to quickly go over these boxing fights, okay? So Omar Trinidad fought to a 10-round draw Saturday in a featherweight bout for the regional WBC belt at Chumash Casino in Santa Ynez, California. Trinidad, 19-0-2 now, 13 KOs, battled with Venezuela's Lorenzo Parra, 23-1-1 now, 17 KOs, in a matchup that was scored 95-95, 95-95, 96-94. We're definitely going to get a rematch. That was a solid fight. Both guys were throwing hands. Both showed that they wanted to win the fights. The judges couldn't figure out who actually had won the fight, though. One judge thought it was Trinidad. The other two couldn't decide. So hopefully we see that matchup again and nobody gets fucked out of that. In a female fight at, was it atomweight? What was it? Flyweight. Mizuki Hiruta, 9-0 with 2 KOs. This is why I told you guys to take the decision. Gets a 5th defense of her WBO super flyweight title against Mexican Naomi Cardenas Gomez, 9-1 with 2 KOs. Like I said, the decision was always the way to go. And it was a unanimous decision, 100-90 twice, 98-92. Yeah. Hiruta trained by Manny Robles, if you don't already know. She basically landed at will. She was piecing her up. She did exactly what she wanted to do in there, besides finish her opponent. That was the only thing she couldn't do. So shout out to Hiruta. She's the WBO super flyweight champ. Abel Maia, 9-0. Stopped Aston Palikte, 28-9-1 in the second round. The Filipino dropped Maia in the opening stance to be overwhelmed with punches in the next frame, leading to the stoppage. It was, you know how you see a fighter kind of fade at the end of round 1 and they come out for round 2. You're like, oh God, oh God, oh God. It was like that. Lupita Medina wins a split decision in an 8-round bout against Ruby Gutierrez. It was 80-72, 77-75, and 77-75 for Gutierrez. At featherweight, Angel Carrillo dominated Damian Basuto of Compton. It was a 4-round bout. It was 40-36 twice and 39-37. Also in some bouts we don't really care about. Adrian Morales defeats Nestle Trezil by unanimous decision, 39-36, 39-36, 38-37. And Jonathan Vasquez makes his pro debut at lightweight, sweeping the judges' scorecards 40-36 against Brian Rodriguez, who was also in his first pro fight. And that's it for that. But here's the real boxing that everyone cared about. Moses Itauma knocks out Dillian Whyte in round 1. This is a 20-year-old man that has 11 KO wins now, 13-0. This man was born in 2004 in Slovakia. Okay? 6'4", 79-inch reach, southpaw. Puts absolute paws on Dillian Whyte, makes it no question that Moses Itauma is going to be a problem at heavyweight. Fast, strong, smart, knows when to attack. Moses Itauma had a fantastic performance. You can't get better than that at heavyweight. A round 1 KO, you cannot get better than that. It was 1 minute and 59 seconds into round 1. So shout out to Moses Itauma. Big, huge, bright future for that young man. And I was wrong about this one. Nick Ball defeats Sam Goodman via unanimous decision for the WBA featherweight title. 117-111, 118-110, 115-113. I thought Sam Goodman would do enough. I thought Sam Goodman would come in there and get the dubber. That wasn't the case. Nick Ball said, this is my title and I'm keeping it. Yeah. Also on the card, Hayate Tsutsumi defeats Kaisa via KO in round 3. Filip Ergovic defeats David Adel. Well, I'm fucking these names up real hard right now. 98-91, 99-90, 99-90. Raymond Ford defeats Abraham Nova via unanimous decision. I called that one. Raymond Ford. Shout out to Raymond Ford and Raymond Ford's team. It was 96-94, 97-93, 97-93. And then finally, Muhammad Alakel defeats Yanam Satosh Singh via KO in round 1. The big point of this card was Nick Ball defending against Sam Goodman, looking pretty great in his fight, bouncy on his feet, landing it nicely in combination. So it was good to see Nick Ball look great in there. And then Moses with a round 1 KO. Round 1, my dog. Damn. Dillian Whyte is a tough out. Do you know who Dillian Whyte has fought? You're not grasping the situation here that Moses Itauma knocked him out in round 1. Dillian Whyte, check this out. Dillian Whyte fought Tyson Fury. He did lose in round 6, but he fought Tyson Fury. He's fought Alexander Povetkin, Derek Chisora, Joseph Parker, Robert Helenius, Derek Chisora again, Anthony Joshua. And yes, he's been knocked out by most of those greats. Povetkin, Fury, Joshua, and possibly Itauma. I mean, Itauma now wins the Itauma wins the WBA International, the WBO Intercontinental, and the vacant Commonwealth heavyweight titles. Now he's looking at the other heavyweights like, oh, y'all thought I was some rookie in this game now? I got a little gold on me. I got a strap now. Who wants some? So I'm excited to see what he does next, man. That's going to be, he's making a big splash at heavyweight at a time when we need a splash at heavyweight. We have a lot of heavyweights starting to dwindle and seem to get on losing tracks. And finally, we have one on a nice trajectory. This is going to be fun, man. I can't wait to see what Itauma does. And let's go over the boxing slate coming up in the next few weeks before we get up out of here. Like I said, August 23rd, big fight card. Yoani Tellez, Abbas Pao. We got Stephanie Hahn taking on Paulina Angel. Yankiel Rivera Figueroa taking on Angelino Cordova. Jermaine Ortiz and Steve Claggett. Jasmine Artiga and Lynn Sandstrom. Lots of fights on this card. August 23rd, Orlando, Florida on DAZN. Don't forget to check it out. Also, August 23rd, we have in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, we have Ilunga Jr. Makabu taking on Charles Manyuchi, 10 rounds at cruiserweight. September 5th in Dublin, Ireland, we got Michael Conlon and Jack Bateson, 10 rounds at featherweight. Also, Ben Marksby and Sinan Kelly, 10 rounds at junior welterweight. September 6th in Nogales, Mexico, we have Oscar Valdez and Ricky Medina, 10 rounds at junior lightweight. September 13th, we have multiple fights. We have the Netflix card with Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford, 12 rounds for Alvarez's undisputed middleweight championship. Also in Belfast, Northern Ireland on DAZN on this very same day, we have a title fight between Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan, 12 rounds for the vacant IBF welterweight title. Ishmael Davis is on that card. Tyrone McKenna's on that card. Dylan Moran's on that card. That's at welterweight. September 13th in I'm not even going to say that. In Germany, title fight between Sarah Borman and somebody. It's for Borman's WBO women's strawweight title. September 14th in Nagoya, Japan, we have Naoya Inoue taking on Murdejan Akhmadaliev. 12 rounds for Inoue's undisputed junior featherweight championship. Also, title fight on the card between Yoshiki Take and Christian Medina Jimenez. 12 rounds for Take's WBO bantamweight title. We also have Yuni Takada and Ryose Masumoto on the card at strawweight. And then November 22nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, David Benavidez, Anthony Yard. 12 rounds for Benavidez's WBC lightweight title. Also on the card, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Abdullah Mason, Fernando Daniel Martinez, Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney, Subriel Matias, and Dalton Smith just got added. Yeah, Subriel Matias and Dalton Smith just got added. And that's for Matias's WBC junior welterweight title. We got a fucking slate coming in September and November. I'm excited for that shit. So that's what's coming up in boxing. This week's wins, bitch. You know what the fuck happened. I gave you guys this parlay, and it didn't hit. Thank you, Chase Hooper. But it is what it is. Carlos Pradas cashes. Hamza Chimaev cashes. Chase Hooper takes a hellacious L. Shout out to Jason Herzog, snatching another win from my clutches. And I gave you guys this parlay. Okay? I gave you guys both, right? And guess what? Guess what? This parlay, it fucking cash, bitch. It fucking cash. Lerone Murphy knocks out Aaron Pico, spinning back elbow. Michael Oleksiejczyk knocks out Gerard Mearshart with punches in round one. Lupita Godinez gets a decision win over Jessica Andrade. And Karine Silva gets a split decision win over Dion Barbosa. Cash it, baby. Plus 829 on FanDuel. Plus 824 on DraftKings. That is 8 times your money. Almost 10 times your money. If you put $10 in, you walked away with 90. Okay, you damn near had yourself a $100 night. You're welcome. I aim to put more of these out. But again, I just do what I can. And that's why I brought you guys a short but brief, beautiful, quick little segment of this week's wins. You're welcome. Let's go over these picks real quick before I get the fuck up out of here. Picks on UFC Shanghai. I got a few names for you motherfuckers. I got a few names. Now, Johnny Walker's brother has been looking good. But will Johnny Walker look good? I don't know. I might be siding with Zhang Yang. I don't know. I got to see a little something. Because every time I see Johnny Walker go up against one of these strikers, a man takes a hellacious L. So I don't know. But I love Sergey Pavlovich, to take out Waldo Cortez Acosta, right? Sergey Pavlovich. I love that. Loner Kavanaugh. I like Loner Kavanaugh to beat Charles Johnson. I like it. I mean, it's going to be a close fight. Charles Johnson's always in a close fight. So that one will be sweaty. Hopefully the odds aren't too shitty for us that we can make, some cash on it. And then Michel Pereira, I know he screws me over left and right, but I feel like this is a good one. This is a night for Michel Pereira. So those are a few names I like on the card. I'll have more depth stuff for you once we do CP units on Friday this week. Again, CP units is at night now, guys. It's at night. So don't come at 2 o'clock on Friday like, yo, what happened? Where's CP units? It's at night now. Okay? So CP units on Friday so we can get more in-depth look at the picks. And yes, Richland, I got you, brother. I'm going to have this Friday, I will put out the chart so you can actually see what's going down. I wish I could do one for PFL. I haven't done it yet. And I'm not doing a stream. Maybe we'll do it. I'll screenshot it, send it to Luke so we can do it for Contender Series or something on Tuesday. But I don't have a chart just yet. But those are my names for the UFC. Also, we got PFL 10. Yeah, so we'll be doing a watch along right here on Thursday, this stream, this channel right here. So don't forget to come on back. And then here are my picks for that card. Off the rip, Fabian Edwards. Fabian Edwards should be in every parlay. There's no way he's going to lose to Dalton Rasta. The Rasta pasta? Nah. Fabian Edwards. I'm going to do my fucking, who's the trainer? Always does the fucking Bob Santos. I'm going to do my fucking Bob Santos impression. All right, Fabian Edwards, number one. Okay? And then Alexi Pergandi. Trains with Ian Machado Gary. I think he's a top team guy. Great camp behind him. Long, rangy striker. Exciting. He's going to win. Don't worry. He should be in all your parlays as well. And a couple guys that are, Impa Kasanganai. This should be a get well fight for him. It should be. What's his name? El Dirte. He's sneaky sometimes. But I think Impa Kasanganai could get him up out of there. I like an Impa Kasanganai KO. And then my boy, we got a Haitian fighting. on PFL 10. JP St. Louis. I follow him. He's funny as hell on social media. If you are not following JP St. Louis and you like anime and you like fight jokes and MMA gym jokes and stuff like that, you should be following JP St. Louis. He's a fantastic MMA follow. Check him out. He's of Haitian descent. He trains with a lot of our favorite fighters that we like. I believe he also trains with Terrence McKinney. So, yeah, JP St. Louis, solid fighter. I expect for him to get a real big win, one of the biggest wins of his career this coming Thursday. So I can't wait to see him finally fight and get under those big lights. And those are some of the picks I have for PFL 10. And then for my boxing picks, I picks on MVP fight night. So if you don't already know, MVP is throwing a fight night where they have multiple people on the card. This is the Tellez, Han, Figueroa, that night. Okay. And coincidentally, those are all the fighters I like. I like Tellez. I like Stephanie Han to get a win. I like Figueroa to get a win. Jermaine Ortiz is absolutely getting a win. Okay. So hopefully I can make a nice MVP night parlay. I forget what night the actual fights are, but you can bet your ass I'm going to have a bet on it. You could bet your ass I'm going to have a bet on it. And then on the Makabu and Manyuchi card, obviously. Oh, wait. Hold on. I didn't even get the lower up. Okay. And on the Makabu and Manyuchi card, you have to go with Makabu. You have to. You have to. You have to. You have to. I think I'm going to go by KO. Just makes sense. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be, it has to be a banger. They're not going to end the night on a decision. I just don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, that's it. And that's it for my show. That's it. I'm done. That was a little longer than I expected, but, you know, I had to cover everything in full and make sure everything was covered. So it is what it is. Sponsors, hit me up, motherfuckers. I'm out here with no sponsors, just fucking W.GG. What the fuck is this? Hey, I guess you don't want promotion. It is what it is. It's free over here. I'm not even charging nothing. Stop being a bitch. That's all I gotta say. Don't forget to follow on social. Scan the QR codes below. Main card minute on your left, one more round fights on your right. Main card minute will be doing a Tuesday watch along for the PFL. On the one more round fights, we will be doing a Thursday watch along. Sorry. Main card minute, Tuesday watch along for the UFC Dana White's Contender Series. One more round fights, Thursday watch along for PFL 10. That is what I'm saying. And then Luke is doing a full card watch along for the UFC Shanghai card starting at 3 a.m. on Saturday. I'll be there for a little bit. I know that. I'll be there for a little bit of it. I don't know if I'll be there for the whole thing. That's quite early, my friend, but we'll see. I'm definitely going to be there at some point for it, though. That is absolute. And don't forget to follow on social. That's where we put out all the parlays and all that other stuff. We're trying to get to 550. If you haven't subbed already, please sub. Get that burner account out. We're trying to get to 550. Like and subscribe the video below. We're trying to get those likes up as well. So please hit the like if you haven't already. And I'm about to get up out of here. Let's see these last comments before I get out. Wheels up. You make watching fights proud, fun, entertaining, and compelling with friends. Luke shouted you out on Submission Radio, which I loved. You deserve it. It proves your genuine interactions. Thank you, brother. I did watch Luke on Submission Radio. I thought these guys were going to be a little more hyped. I was like, damn, I went to drunk-ass Luke. He was so composed on there, but he was doing really well talking with Dennis. So shout out to Luke. And then I finally got to check out a prop quiz this week. It's a 30-minute episode for you guys. If you haven't watched already, prop quiz is hilarious. It gets to go into all different types of stats. It's an easy way to learn about stats in MMA too. Learn about certain things that have happened if you missed it, you know, or certain fun facts and stuff. So it's a great show to watch. If you haven't already, check out Prop Quiz on the Main Card Minute. You know that's my dog right there. Strum in the East says, good stream. Later, boys. Wheels Up says, good night. All love. Dazrikio says, aloha, donk. Sub Gap. What up, Dazrikio? And then he says, sub lazy. And then Prop Quiz was fire. It was, man. So I'm glad he started such a great series. I can't wait to see where it goes. I can't wait to see what personalities come on there too. Hopefully both channels are on the rise, man. We're hot right now. We're making money. We're doing good things in the community, and we're just going to try to keep those things going. So enjoy the rest of your week, boys and girls. Have a good Monday. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Make good choices. Eat good food. Stay healthy. Be happy. And hug your loved ones. I'm getting the fuck up out of here. Peace.